All right, this is part 2 of the door build, and by the end of this episode, I think we should have the door finished and installed. I think this is going to be a really beautiful piece of the boat. Here's the door that I started last week. Now that the oversized door was laminated together, I needed to trim it down to its final shape. So I used my template and trimming bit to shave it down to size. This small router is one of my hardest working tools. I use it almost daily, and it's perfect for routing foam core glass parts. The door is very thick, and I don't have a long enough trim bit to cut all the way through, so I used a top-bearing trimmer with the template to cut down to where the two foam cores meet. And then I used a bottom-bearing trim bit to trace around the other side of the door. This way I don't have to worry about misaligning my template on the opposite side. Then I cut out the window. I had to make sure to leave a flange for bonding in the lens, and I don't want to make another template, so I had to cut it out by hand. More on this later. Then I cut the door in half. If you remember from last week, we're making a Dutch door. Next, I made a flange for where the two doors meet that's made out of my homebrewed G10. You'll notice I glued in some spacers which will make room for the gasket that has to be installed. Now all the foam edges need to be replaced with something stronger, so I routed down about 3/8 of an inch around the whole door with the exception of where the hinges will go. There I routed out a 1/2 inch. Okay, yesterday I routed out the foam around the perimeter of the door, leaving the skin so that I can fill the perimeter with either I'm gonna do some hardwood around the flat areas, and then I'm gonna fill these curved areas with thickened epoxy. So right now I'm gluing in these wood strips, and then I'm gonna mix a bunch of thick epoxy and fill in the rest of it around the curved parts. So here we go.
I see you treated yourself to some new clamps.
These I bought for the keel project, I believe.
You love your clamps.
I wish I had about 5 times as many as I actually have.
That's insane.
It's not.
You have a lot.
Any self-respecting craftsman has more clamps than they can count, I think. So I'm putting wood around these flat areas because it's a lot easier than filling it with thickened epoxy and cheaper and lighter. But I also, this is where the hinges, this edge is where the hinges are going to be, and so wood is a lot easier for the screws to grab onto. Again, and I can't use foam, and I don't want to tap into solid epoxy if I can avoid it. So yeah, that's why I'm putting the wood here, but around the curved edges I'm just going to fill it with thickened epoxy. So that's the next part. I know what you're thinking.
I know what you're thinking.
I'm embarrassed.
I was gonna say let's. Should we say it on the count of 3?
No.
Too corny?
Too corny.
Our audience knows what we're thinking. I'm just gonna say it.
Are you embarrassed for me?
I am.
Total Boat's not embarrassed.
No.
The hinges are heavy duty 316 stainless. I made a template that I'll use to route out the recesses for the hinges in the door and in the door openings. Next, I made a flange for where the 2 doors meet that's made out of my homebrewed G10. You'll notice I glued in some spacers which will make room for the gasket that has to be installed. I'm also going to be installing dogs to clamp the door shut. These are heavy-duty latches similar to what you'd find on a deck hatch. There's a central axle and bushing that will pass through the door so that the latch can be operated from both sides. So I cut a hole through each leaf of the door, and then cut a G10 tube that has the same inside diameter as the dog bushing that passes through and is as long as the door is thick. And then I epoxied it in place. This will create a solid, maintenance-free bearing surface for the dog. I did some quick pinhole filling with a Bondo type filler, especially around the solid epoxy edges. Then, after the whole door was sanded out and cleaned, I started priming. I'm out of my Hole Guard Extra, and there isn't much fairing to do on this door, just pinholes to fill, so I started coating it with Interlux Interprotect 2000, which is a really great high build primer when you lay on a few coats. I eventually did 4 coats, which should bury most of the pinholes. In my very hot boat tent, I was able to put on a couple coats a day. The next step will be sanding and then finish primer. Now I've got these recesses for the hinges routed out, and the next thing I'm going to do, so it's foam right here between the two very thick skins of fiberglass. And so I need something solid for the screws for the hinge to grab onto. So I'm going to route out the foam now down about a 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to glue and hammer in some hardwood inserts that the screws that I can drill into. So that's what I'm going to be working on next, using my router to route out that foam. I applied 3 coats of all grip 545 finish primer on the doors and flange. Then my mom and I spent the next morning sanding out the primer. We only prepped the inside of the door and the flange because we don't want to open up the primer if it's not going to be painted imminently, and we're painting the inside first. That same day, after cleaning up the door and the flange, I applied 2 coats of Allcraft 2000 paint. Before the flange could be glued on, I had to prep the door frame by grinding off all the paint all the way down to fiberglass. This bulkhead is pretty lumpy because of how it's built, so I had to grind off quite a bit in some places. All right, it's time to glue the flange on.
How nervous are you for the inspection?
I'm pretty confident in these, actually. I think she'll like them.
I think she's doing a full CAT scan. Not yet, Inspector. Not yet.
Okay, I finally get to install these doors. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Cool.
Looks amazing.
So, a lot of primer went on these doors, and the bottom section doesn't quite fit anymore. It does, like, I need to do some futzing with it in order for it to open smoothly, but it does work, and so I'm very happy with how it turned out. You want to see it from the inside with the flange?
Yeah.
Cool. Wow.
That looks amazing. That looks really, really good.
You sound surprised.
I'm not surprised. I'm delighted.
Yeah, I think it looks great. So the dogs and the gaskets are all on order. They are coming from somewhere far away. So it's going to be a little bit, and then I'd like to paint the outside of the boat first, and then we'll start installing stuff like that. You'll notice that there's this glue perimeter around it where I ground and glued it. And I'll probably just scuff that up and just do a really quick paint touch up there. But otherwise, I think it looks awesome. Very happy with it.
I agree with you, but it doesn't really matter what we think.
No?
Is it time?
I suppose. It doesn't, remember the bottom doesn't, I have some futzing to do.
Should we wait for the inspection until after the futzing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want it to just open smoothly. We've got a couple Patreons to thank this week. Thank you to Jordan, who's been sailing forever, and he was a sailmaker in California and in New York. He's been racing for a long time, for 40 years, he said. So thank you very much to Jordan. And then also thank you to Doug. Doug has been sailing for a long time in the Chesapeake Bay. He races his 30-foot Canadian Seacraft. It's called Revolution. He's also the Commodore of the Chesapeake Shorthanded Sailing Society. And very soon he's going to be restoring a Flying Scot. It's the number 8 Flying Scot, which will be a really fun project for him, I'm sure. So thank you very much to both Jordan and Doug and everybody who's been a Patreon of our project. I know it's been a while since we've gotten any new Patrons, but it's what makes our project go. So thank you very much to everybody. If you're interested in joining our Patreon community, you can find us at the Duracell Project on patreon.com.